it's like any personal relationship, right? You're mad at somebody, let me send a text, a nasty text to them, and I'm like, "Listen, you just gotta stop and think, because I need to keep a job. I want you to keep your job."
Welcome to the Leadership Story, where we discuss real women, real leadership, real resilience. I'm Lisa Jones. This one is personal. My guest today pours into my daughter every day at work, and long before I ever hit record, I was already inspired by how she leads. In this conversation, we get into what it really means to lead a young team through structure, sensitivity, and generational gaps. We talk about the difference between leading in a nonprofit and leading in corporate, what it's like to manage up when leadership doesn't fully see you, and the perseverance it took to get there through learning challenges, personal loss, and raising a son while finishing grad school. If you ever had to fight to be respected in a room or to figure out how to lead people while still being your full self, this one's for you. Let's get into it. Today, I'm talking with Kate Lunger. Kate champions partnership driven career pathways in clean energy. As Director of Workforce Initiatives at the Philadelphia Energy Authority, she leads programs that expand equitable opportunities for adult learners, reentry individuals, marginalized youth, and others seeking second chances. She oversees PEA's GRIT and Bright Solar Futures program and coordinates federally funded energy sector training across Southeast Pennsylvania. Kate previously led reentry programs for OIC of America and teaches in Temple University's Criminal Justice Department. Kate, welcome to the Leadership Story.
Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate you having me on your series.
I am so excited. So for my listeners, my daughter works for Kate, and when I met Kate and heard about the work that she does, I was so inspired not only by the work that she does, but how she pours into my daughter. So I'm going to start off just saying I appreciate and
Aw,
thank you so much. I'm giving you your flowers now. I might end with
appreciate
that too, but
Yay!
the way my daughter, you know my daughter, so we don't even have to talk about her. But I
I love
feel
her
like
too.
you're Yes, I feel like you're like her spirit animal. I thought I was, but hey, it's okay. We can share the wealth. So,
Right. It takes a village for sure. It takes a village with our kids. So thank you so much. I appreciate the flowers. And that's really what it's about, making sure
yeah.
that I am contributing to someone else's spirit and their career path and being a good supporter and advocate for them in all areas of their life. I think that really contributes to, what they bring into the workforce as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think you do it well because everyone that I know that works with you also speaks very highly. It's not just a one time thing. So just know that. So if no one else tells you, I appreciate you.
No, I really appreciate that, and I was like, "Let me hold back my tears right now, because sometimes you get in the midst of the work
Yes.
and other
Yes.
people, and you don't stop to, like, think about what you do and how people are
Yeah.
impacted, so, it's nice to hear that once in a while that, like, you're actually a difference in people's lives.
Well, of course,
Yeah.
anytime. So let's start off with Kate. How would you describe your leadership style and how did you develop that or arrive to that decision of how you would lead people?
Sure. I would say that my leadership style is really to provide direction, but in that direction, motivating my team members as well, motivating them to do better, be stronger as individual members, but also be strong in what they contribute to the team. I think motivation leads to the execution of plans and getting things
Yeah.
done, right?
Yeah.
Also, a big part of what I do is provide learning opportunities for my team members. I have a young team currently. I've often worked with young teams, and I feel that it's not just about the direction and the management of the team, but
Yeah.
also providing learning opportunities with a lot of what they do, right? And I was told once that everything shouldn't be a learning opportunity, but I think differently about that. I think
Yeah.
it's not just like straight cuts with everything that we do. And with the young team, I really want them to look at what's in front of them, the big picture, and not just be so focused on the task at hand. So I would say that's a big part of my leadership style and providing those opportunities through using the work as examples, real life
Yeah.
experience that I have. Because I've been around the block a couple times. I've been around for a while. And I've had, a lot of different career opportunities, so I feel like I'm well versed to apply my knowledge to them through my leadership. And I got there through, again, my experiences. But I've also had really strong mentors that have gotten me to the point that I'm at with my leadership style.
Yeah.
From being in position starting out in social work. And then I was like, you know what? I'm really passionate about reentry, and a lot of my family members experience incarceration and barriers in life. So I'm really passionate about that bail reform. I started just working harder and harder at getting to a point where I can actually lead a team and
Yeah.
feel like I have made an impact with people who are working in the system and workforce. I've been fortunate to have really strong women in my life. My mother, my grandmothers, my aunt, they all have very, very strong minded core
Mhm.
values when it comes to their careers. And so that's what all I saw. They also kind of led me to a place of stick with the people who are promoting you and your skill sets, and take that and learn from them. And when somebody is giving you your flowers, you need to receive it and you need to take
Yeah.
that and be like, this should make me be a stronger leader in what I do. So it was really just about the strong women that I have in my life that got me here.
I love that. And just to piggyback off of that, two things. How do you see it as a woman leader? Do you find yourself leading differently than you see your male counterparts? And the second part of that question is, do you think leading for a nonprofit, because you work for a nonprofit and you've been in that space for a while, do you see leading in a nonprofit would be different from the corporate world, or there's similarities that, because I see the way you lead your team, and not that I wouldn't do that in a corporate space, but I feel like when you're in a nonprofit organization, you have a little bit more leeway or space of how you lead. So, do you find that to be different, and do you see that women lead differently than your male counterparts?
Yes, I do believe women lead differently than men. I think women, we naturally have a little bit more compassion and, we're nurturing to an extent where males may not be so nurturing or receptive of things that people are going through or value or barriers that women face. I think there's is just kind of like mute in
Yeah,
that male space. But that's just my experience.
right.
However, on the flip side, I've had very strong male leaders that I've reported to and have guided me and provided me with opportunities. And then I've had men that don't provide the same experience. And I've had to work through some of those things. I also think there's a racial component to it, and I'm not gonna
Yeah,
dig in too deep, but it has
yeah,
been challenging with being a woman, being a leader. I think men have also been somewhat intimidated by my leadership style, and they question it or they just don't value my opinion in the
yeah,
workspace. So that's been tough. But I've also experienced that with women too.
yeah,
So I think it
yeah,
really just depends on the employer and the people who are in the positions of leadership. But there's things that are also very obvious to me, which I think is an area employers need to do better, is that when it comes to picking leadership and the pay scale, that men are still leading in that area. So we're
mhm,
not just
mhm,
dealing with like the leadership style of the males in that space. We're also dealing with
right,
discrepancies that are put in front of us because we know, right? It's not
yeah, yeah, yes, I mean, the reports don't lie.
very personal law, and you can see it, you can see it,
Yes.
even though they are not necessarily good leaders or good
Right.
directors or good VPs or whatever their leadership role is, does not mean that they are
Yeah.
equipped with the skill sets. And that could be
Right.
anyone. I just find it to be like stacked on top of all these other things that those positions bring to the table. It comes down from the top. And I feel like I'm managing up a lot with males, right? That I have to like
Mm.
explain
Right.
things and convince them that I'm the expert in this field here.
Yes.
And let's humble ourselves about it because I know
Yes.
what's going
Like,
on. So
yes.
I try not to, I try to look at it as this is just another uneducated person, and I'm going to do what I can to educate them.
Yeah. I
When it
mean,
comes
it's
to
it's
Go
always
ahead.
that say it's always that saying I always say, "Help me help you." I'm
Right.
just help
Help
me
me
help
help you
you.
understand. Right. And I think I'll talk about that. You had another question down the line
Yeah.
that I was thinking about, and just, you know, people acknowledging what you're saying and valuing
Right.
it and
Yeah.
picking and choosing my battles in that space. I already know their limitations. So I'm going to communicate this the best way I can. But at a certain point, like if you're not understanding what I'm saying, then I'm going to move on from it and
Yeah.
try to discuss this with someone else. And I do think the male leadership and the female leadership is also evident between nonprofits and corporate spaces.
Yes.
Think in the corporate spaces, I mean, that's just kind of part of the culture where well, there's a lot of male leadership. Not as much as before, which I'm glad to see that it's changing over, but there's still a lot of discrepancies in
Yes.
pay and in
Mhm.
roles and titles. Where in the nonprofit space, we're a little bit more liberal in that area,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and
So
more female led it
we
seems.
female led, and they understand the importance of diversity, adversity, what you bring to the table in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
I have not worked in the corporate space much because of that. I have worked in the court systems where it's still pretty evident in rules. I'm glad to see that there are a lot more female judges, though, attorneys, also bail reform. There's been places where there's been more politics involved than
Yeah.
at a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Nonprofit, you have more room to discuss your opinions, at least from my experience. I know that's
Yeah.
not everybody, but I think there are more people are more receptive in having a conversation, where in a corporate world, you're just kind of stuck to the script. So I can't subscribe to it by being a part of that or seeking opportunities in that space because I feel like I would be doing myself a disservice in my leadership if I, succumb to the corporate space. I would
Yeah.
not work out very well. I'm too
That's not true.
expressive in my opinion. I'd probably be at HR every day.
Yeah, that wouldn't be helpful.
No, that wouldn't be helpful. And it's interesting because even in the nonprofit space, it's not 100% legit. We still have our problems and our barriers. And, I think the nonprofit space can is it's loose, but sometimes it can be too loose, right?
Right.
Where there isn't that leadership structure in place, or there's not HR in place because it's like, oh, we can figure all this out. We don't need other
Right.
people telling us we don't want to spend the money. And it's not that they don't value it, but it comes off as if they don't value it because they're not interested in spending the money or they don't
Yeah.
see what the benefits of having those positions is.
Right.
And it's very important because you can't always figure things out. You're going to have conflicts, interpersonal conflicts with people, work conflicts with people, and you need somebody to be in that space to help mediate and find solutions. I'm definitely solution based. So
Yeah.
that is an interesting part of nonprofits is that it's like Not everything is a kumbaya moment. Things that need to be done. So being in a nonprofit space where there's not a script that people subscribe to
Right.
is great, but then there's also things that you're like, you have to be a really strong leader in that
Right.
space because we could talk about things forever. And it's like, let's figure out what we need to do, how we need to lead, and where we need to get to. Like, what are our goals? What are our missions? And stick to that, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let's make sure it's documented so we have a plan in place and everybody knows what they need to do.
Right. Thinking about that and looking at your team, because like you said, you tend to have a younger team than most. It's usually people coming right out of college, maybe their first or second job. Let me ask you the first questions. How do you provide them structure and in a space that could be considered chaotic or not as structured? This is their first opportunity to show their stuff, like you said, a different from corporate, which could potentially be very structured. Now, I've been in corporate and it's a lie sometimes. I digress.
No,
But
I agree. I agree.
but how do you provide that structure and guidance? Because you did say, like you said, you like to expose them to new opportunities and learning. So what are some of the things that you do to provide them structure and guidance?
Sure. So again, I think being a strong role model for them is important. And when real situations happen, I think it's important when situations happen to really address it at that time, right?
Yeah.
And talk about it and find solutions and not let things linger. I think people get kind of sucked up in, certain feelings if you don't address them. And there's going to be hard conversations that you're going to have, right? One thing that I try to do, and people are very reactive, and this has come up a lot, is to guide them in kind of documenting their feelings and not being reactive to the point where they're just reckless in that behavior, where they're
Right.
like sending an email real quick because they didn't like something somebody said, or especially externally, like partnerships are very valuable to us to make sure things are moving. Serving the community and the individuals in the communities is extremely important, so there's a certain branding that we have, and we should have values and respect that. And internally, same thing, right? And I know with the young team, they tend to be really sensitive about how people talk to them. And when they see something, they automatically think it's a personal mission to bring them
Yeah.
down. And I'm like, hold
Right.
on, wait a minute, right? Let's stop and really think about what this is saying and what it means to you and within the boundaries of work, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
people were like, "Hey, listen, like, Imma pour everything into this," and I'm like, "It doesn't require that energy." You can't
Correct. Yes.
always entertain people's energy because that's what they want. They want somebody to pay attention to them and go from there, and it can definitely mess at what you're trying to accomplish. So,
Yeah.
stopping, thinking about things. How do we want to respond to this? Sometimes no response is fine, but I
Hmm.
need to stop and think about everything. Write it down. It's like any personal relationship, right? You're mad at somebody. Let me send a text, a
Yes.
nasty text to them. And I'm like, listen, you just got to stop and think
Yes.
because I need to keep a job. I want you to keep your job. So
Yes.
one thing that I'm, like, constantly addressing is just kind of, like, thinking things through, because that also takes time away from what you need to accomplish. So that structure is kept in place by letting people know what my expectations are of them, what kind of communication expectations I have for them, what needs to get done. So having strategy huddles and team meetings and doing things to make sure everybody's engaged and they understand where we're trying to get to, and also removing the outside noise from that so we can stay within that structure is crucial to that. Let's deal with it, and then we need to move on and make sure that we're meeting our benchmarks in this area.
Yeah. And I think the challenge is this generation has grown up into a culture of being reactionary.
Yes.
We were always taught don't say anything or just be very above board. But and I appreciate the fact that the generation now can show more emotion, but you also have there's a time and place for those things. And I think that's where we have to guide them in that direction instead of, like you said, not deal with situations, take them head on. I know from a fact if I even considered someone was disrespecting me, it wasn't something that I would automatically be reactionary
Mhm.
to. We had a different approach now. This generation today is like, "What'd you say about my mama?" I didn't
Right.
know.
Yeah, and it's all like, it's always they perceive things as being negative and personal all the time, and it's like, "No, this is life. This is how it works, like, this is adulting," right?
Yes,
So I talking about this generation, you know, it does mean as a leader, you have to pour more time and energy into the generational gaps.
right. Yes,
So it's not
exactly.
just like you come to work and we work. It's also in a leader space, like making sure that everybody is on the same page. And that can be challenging. Like
Yeah,
it's very challenging. And I think that's why it's important to model and lead with intention with people and be upfront about what your expectations are. It's been interesting. It's been interesting. I think my team has come a long way for sure, and we just don't have time to make everything a
yes,
personal issue. We just
yes,
don't have that type of
yes,
time. We need to think about what is going on out here and how we can support people's journeys. And
yes.
I think it's more of or it can become more of a HR related discussion at some point,
Right,
right? If
right, right.
if people cannot see outside of themselves and the lack of, I don't know, personal attention,
Yeah,
like everybody owes them something. No, they don't.
right, right.
And if
Yes,
you're not
yes,
happy with the structure that's in place, then I need you to figure out how you remove yourself from this before the employer does that for you.
yes,
'Cause it can get to that very quickly. And
right.
still, even if that happens, it's everybody else's fault.
Yes,
"You're treating me poorly. This wouldn't have happened if you had done this for me or not talked to me a certain way," and that's not how the world works.
right. True.
That's unrealistic.
Very true. Yes. But maybe when they start their own businesses, it'll be better.
Maybe they'll see. You know, my mom has always told me that, like, sometimes people just have to hit rock bottom before they can see that, and they don't have a choice but to get back up and figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
sometimes you just have to let a person get to that point, and I try my hardest not to let that happen, but
Yeah.
there's only so much responsibility I can take for what happens in the workspace. You know, like, that's not helping that's just giving somebody the leeway to be like, "Hey, my behavior is acceptable all of the
Correct.
time," and it's
Yes.
not at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think I'm really supportive in that space. However, I've learned to see when situations need someone outside of me to help. Because
Yeah.
I've always tried to deal with things myself and protect of protect my team and advocate for my team. But at some
Mhm.
point, like,
Yes.
I don't wanna overstep my boundaries, and I
Yes.
also there's a lot of sensitivity involved, and at some point, I could be implicated in things, and
Right.
it's not my lane. Well, this is not what I'm
Yes.
here as a director to be, a social worker, psychologist, HR, all of those
Right.
things. To a certain extent, yes, but when it starts impacting the work that we do, then I'm gonna have to move you over to someone else to work through those issues.
Right. Now, on the flip side of that, what is something that you are excited about or learning from your team or having such a younger team that is really pouring into you?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I need to think about that.
Okay, well, think about that some more. I mean,
I'm gonna circle back around for it, I think it's exciting for me when we do cancel out all the other noise and people are not hung up on their self-evaluation and we're actually getting things done because we are here in these roles to support the community. We are here to provide people with opportunities. And when we set benchmarks and let's put it in motion and we accomplish it and to see how the team reacts, that's
yeah,
what I do this for. Look at what you accomplished, and it was
right.
not just me, it was you all executing the plan that we put in place. So that really warms my heart. It warms my heart to see them out at places, interacting with people and people coming to them, giving them their flowers, and I'm like, "Okay, I was definitely a part of that," but I love that excitement more for them than probably myself because, like, I'm confident in who I am. I'm confident in what I've accomplished and what I will accomplish, but I think for the young team members and the generation gap, like, it's important for them to see that there are spaces where they can be valued, and
Right.
it's a boost of morale, it's a boost of confidence for them, and that's a great win for me, and then they're ready to go on to the next adventure.
Yes. You guys have a lot of adventures, but I digress.
We got some good stories. We got to It's
Yes.
funny because when I left my last job and they had like a little happy hour, they were, let's celebrate you. You're moving on in your career. And the only memory people had was traveling with me. They're like, "She's a great travel partner, and she keeps us alive, but she's also, like, a lot of fun," and I was like, "Okay," and then the next person said it, I was like, "Alright, so these work trips are clearly where it's at.
Yes. Like, we're going to get
I'll
the
take
work
that."
done, but we also are going to enjoy it too.
We're gonna enjoy the fruits of our labor, like, we're gonna
Yes.
make sure that we celebrate our wins and we're being seen and people are listening to us and they're excited about what we're bringing to the table. So I think it's important, and this is another thing that I'm trying to lead with is, like, putting yourself in the right spaces. Like, if you're not comfortable with speaking in front of people, we need to have opportunities for you to learn how to do that. It's a
Yeah.
very, very important skill to have and to know your audience and just be able to communicate effectively and but also be organic about it, and you can't do that if you're not going out and talking to people and networking. You'll never get it. And I have some very timid people that I work with, and I'm like, listen, you just got to jump into it, right? And now we're, like speaking at city employee graduations and program
Yes.
graduations and being a moderator at a conference and being on a panel at a conference. And these are big, important spaces to be in. So I'm like, come on, let's just do it. And I'm kind of like the mother, and I got my little chicks,
Like, come
running
on,
around.
let's
I'm like,
go.
we're gonna accomplish this together.
Yes.
So
Yes.
very
So
important.
when you look at your career and how you've gotten to where you are now, what do you know about resilience in your career that you didn't know earlier? And this could be something that you would want to leave with someone else as you build your team. Like, what are some of those nuggets that you would say to them about resilience and just staying and not necessarily relevant, but just staying where you are? What would you say about being strong and continuing in your space?
Sure. So I think being your true self, sticking to core values, not being swayed by other people's views. I definitely make my opinions known. And in general, especially in the workspace, I express my feelings when I'm passionate about the issue at hand. I'm been called pushy. several occasions, personally and also in the workspace, but I'm
Yeah.
so okay with that. Again, I'm confident and secure with my personality, my values. I'll do what it takes for the best interest of and the best outcomes for my team as a
Hmm.
whole, not just me. That would be very selfish if I was just focused on me. So I'm always thinking about everybody that contributes to the cause. The other part of that, though, is that I've learned to pick and choose my battles in that space because not every issue deserves that type of attention, right? It takes energy away from the real issues and the people in the community. I also stand on the ground that a good leader should be a role model for their team, as I mentioned before, and guide them in expressing themselves in a professional and a respectful manner, and using those real situations as a way to discuss how it could be handled differently or like what do we want to get out of it. That reactiveness is huge. So I have learned to kind of tame my reactiveness depending on the situation and who I'm dealing with, and just kind of knowing how to work the room and being aware of who you're surrounding yourself with, because a lot of time we don't have a choice of who we surround ourselves with. It's the work environment, we have
Right.
to, but being self-aware and confident is extremely important in that environment, especially as a leader. Because everybody's already looking at you, right?
Yes. Yes.
Everybody is already looking at you. So I think not knowing early on that people are extremely sensitive. That would have been something that I would have liked to know early on in my career.
Yeah.
Everything is a learning opportunity though. So,
Right.
I'm going in like, hey, like I'm this confident black female. This was even before getting to my leadership opportunities. It's like, hey, it's me. This is what I bring to the table. And then I started running into sensitive people and kind of like the hating thing. Who are you? Who do you think you are? And I
Yes.
was like, I
Right.
don't understand like what this is about, right? Like, this is not making sense to me. So just kind of persevering through that was something that I didn't expect.
Right.
I didn't expect myself to like have to fight so hard to be in the
Yeah.
space that I'm in now.
Right.
I'm still
Yeah.
fighting, but I think the real world really humbled me in a way that was like, okay, I have to figure out how I approach these situations moving forward where it doesn't take anything away from me that I've
Right.
built.
Right.
My mom always said, it's not going to be easy, but you just got to keep going. You got to keep going. And I apply that every day. I just have to figure out what is something that I can be like, okay, I'm not going to let this get to me, and the other things that have impact on other people and other initiatives that we're trying to achieve. And that's what I think I'm trying to carry down to the young people. You have to be confident and you have to keep going. At the same time, how you express yourself in that space is going to be a determining factor to that. So,
Yeah.
did I answer the question?
You did. When I hear you speak, remember when you were in school and you were like, when I get to middle school, it's going to be great. And then you get to middle school, like, oh, but when I get to high school, it's not going to be like this. And it's still like this. And then you go to college, like, after I get, when I
Exactly.
get to that corporate world, you're not going to have to deal with people's emotions and feelings and things like
Right.
that. And then you get to corporate or you get to that first job, I'm like, this really is a thing. It's something that is just not taught is that even though you are great at what you do or you have the credentials, whatever that may be, you will always have to deal with people's emotions and
Very
feelings
much.
and biases and all of those
Haters.
things.
Haters. Yeah.
Haters, yes, you're going to have to deal with your haters, right?
Yeah.
So 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 my haters are my motivators. That's why we say that because you still have to deal with those things. And I don't think that's something where we are finally expressing that a little bit more, but I still don't think we still understand that.
Right.
at this
I
stage. Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I try to ignore the haters as much as possible, but we all deal with things differently.
Right.
We all have different expectations about what we do or what needs to get done or other people especially in the workspace. But it's for me, it's just kind of like I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to get this
Yeah.
done, and everybody else can just go to the side. Like I'm just gonna keep doing me.
Yes. Yes.
And nobody likes it. All the we always make this joke of like Kate's in the back in the corner again, not punishment. I'm like, but at the end of the day, I know what's best for myself. I know what's best for the team. I wouldn't be here if I didn't know that. But people maybe try it. Like, I don't think you need to go through me on this for what? I've
Yes.
come too far. And there are situations that you just have to ask for forgiveness after.
Correct.
But then again, what forgiveness am I asking for? If we are accomplishing all these great things, then clearly my plan and my method for getting there is working. I don't have
Yes.
everything figured out. Most people don't have everything figured out. And I'm constantly on a learning journey for myself, and I'm constantly on a learning journey with other people and how I can
Yes.
support them. Um, so just trust and believe in me. It's not that serious. It's getting done. So I think it's been especially around evaluation time is always something that I have put on my evaluation. I don't feel as if I'm being respected 100% by my leadership. And that's
Right.
not just in my current role, this has been in past roles. What's the problem? You hired me for a reason.
Right.
You needed me to come in and clean house and get stuff in order and reach these goals, and I have done that each and every time. So the fact that I'm still sitting here telling people that they're not giving me the respect that I feel like they deserve is just crazy work to me. It's
Right.
like,
Exactly.
but I have confidence in myself and what I
Yes.
accomplish and what other people accomplish. And I see them and I see myself, and the people I give my flowers to are people that are valuable individuals in my life. Everybody outside of that is like, "Mm, okay, go ahead, because I know that we're gonna have the same conversation next year about my performance and my evaluation, and I'll be putting the same thing down." Like, I have never been told or asked, "What is it that you need? How can we support you?" Never. But
Yeah.
hey, so I'm managing up in that space of
Right.
like,
Yes.
this is what I need from you. May not
Right.
get it, but I'm just gonna let you know and I'm gonna document it so you know. And then the expectation of me should be to carry that down. So
Yes.
I'm in the space of like, gotta
Right.
manage up to leadership when I am
Yes.
in a leadership position. So learning all those things about how to navigate the workspace in my role has been something that has been a journey, but I think I'm doing pretty well at it. I'm figuring that out. And that's one thing that I was not taught either. You have to be able to deal with like adversity really well. Naturally, I kind of learned to do it, but I was shocked. What's wrong with this? I'm confused. Why am I still fighting with people? And it's
Yes.
typically internal individuals. And
Yes.
it's not to fight, it's to find solutions to things
Yes.
and move on.
Yes.
So
I
it's like,
agree.
Kate's that angry black woman again. That's not what it is. It's just that
Yes.
I am going to get this done and I'm gonna figure out a way to do it, whether you're gonna be on this journey with me or not, you
Or
know?
not.
So,
Yes. I agree.
they will come back around when they need me. But
Yeah.
other than that, I just gotta keep pushing.
Okay. I love it. I love it. My final question, which I ask all of my guests. So, what is the one word that would describe your leadership story and why?
I would say perseverance because I came from um having learning challenges when I was younger, and it was tough. I knew that I had test anxiety going on, and even with like an open book test. But fortunately I had a supportive family, still do, and they were gonna provide you with the support that you need. I had a great education and I went to a boarding school. So I went away
Yeah.
from home at a very early age,
Mhm.
and a lot of people don't experience that, right? So you have to figure things out. And they were very supportive, had a lot of opportunities. I was in school with people from around the world. And then I went to Temple. And I finished early and I was dealing with a lot of death around me. And I was supposed to go to law school. And my boyfriend at the time died suddenly. So I put that on hold. And
Yes.
my professors were like, "Hey, we want you to keep going. You know, you finished undergrad early. We will support you. We will pay for your grad school education. You can work for us and we'll give you insurance." And that was unheard of at the time. And
Yes.
I, I was like, you know what? Like, people are helping me and they're supportive of me. And I really appreciated it. And I'm in debt to those individuals that did that.
Yes.
And then I had a son in grad school. Like, literally, like, taking him to class with me sometimes. I was, like, in the
Yeah.
car, he was in the back seat, I was, like, feeding him his bottle. He had
Yeah.
some health issues. I still have dreams now sometimes that, like, I didn't turn my papers in on time. I It was crazy, and they were
Yes.
like, "It's okay, like, you just had a baby." It was, like, winter break, and I was like, "I need an extension on my final." You know,
Yes.
like, just and I think so communication is a big part of it too, right? You
Yes.
have to tell people what's going on. I mean, there's gonna be people that don't care, but I think that's part of my leadership piece is like, "You can talk to me because 'cause I've had to talk to
Yeah.
people and I've had to figure it out and I've had to navigate a lot of things, and
Yes.
it's important." And they were like, "Just that's all we need from you. It's just to communicate, let us know that you're okay." I graduated from grad school and I was just doing it. I had some
Yeah.
rough patches, but I made it work. I was still trying to raise my son, and there was a point that I was unemployed and I was like, "How am I gonna do this? What does it take?" I made enough from unemployment that I couldn't get benefits to help with food
Well,
and
yes.
daycare. So, like, my parents were like, "We'll help you pay for daycare," because I needed to look for a job. So,
Yes.
coming from the challenges that I had, I feel like the only reason I'm in the place where I'm at is because I persevered. I stayed strong to my values and my beliefs, and I didn't let anything hold me back. You know, like, it just made me more adamant about getting to this point in my career. I can do this. And now I use that in my leadership of like, you can too, because I have my own personal journey that brought me here. And there's a way to get through it. And I
Yes.
always encourage people to like, if you need accommodations in the workspace, if you need support in other areas of your life, I think all employers should offer some time for work-life balance and also
Yes.
having therapy and other types of benefits
Yeah.
available, right?
Yes.
Because, I mean, people are stressed out, and most of us could probably be diagnosed with something, you know? And I think employers, especially in the corporate world, do not take the time to see those things, and people get burnt out, they suffer from depression, and it's not worth it. So, sometimes you have to create those pathways for yourself like I did. What do I need to succeed? What are the tools and the skill sets and the people that I need in my life to keep going and get through these challenges?
I love that. So, again, Kate, thank you so much for being on the show. How can people get connected to you?
Absolutely. So, I'm currently the director of workforce initiatives at the Philadelphia Energy Authority. I also speak on workforce, especially in the reentry space. So, I'm on LinkedIn, Kate Lunger, and you can also reach me by email, Lunger, Lunger, Kate, K-T-E, at gmail.com.
Okay, wonderful. And I will make sure all of those things are in the show notes. Kate, thank you again.
Of
Thank you for
course.
taking care of my daughter, even though I
It's
think
a
you
pleasure.
guys are taking care of each other, it seems.
She's been instrumental in my life too, and I told her, and I think I told you, I will always show up for her. I will always
Mm,
show up for her.
well, I appreciate that.
Of course.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What stays with me in Kate's words, perseverance, not the polished version, the real one. Test anxiety, lost mid degree, raising a son through grad school, unemployment. She built her leadership out of all of it, and now she's handing it down to a young team, still learning that not every hard moment is personal. Sometimes it's just work. And something new. The leadership story is now on YouTube, so you can find our episodes there too. Find me on LinkedIn and tell me what landed. Everything is referenced in the show notes. I'm Lisa Jones, helping you discover the leadership story you were meant to tell.